movement area, or area where you could really move around too much. And so, Project Natal may be a good idea, maybe in the future, but don't make it where you have to do everything. Like, have some.
Yeah, there's got to be some diversity. You got to bring
Yeah.
it back to some of your basics. I don't think you can really go all Natal all the way. And the reason why I didn't pick Nintendo, because they've been underwhelming what they had now. They've had this technology out before anybody. They went all motion control and everyone. They had years to develop it. They never really took advantage of it. They kind of did more of the same. I think the most impressive title they had was Twilight Princess, and it was quite, frankly, a good game. Don't get me wrong, Twilight Princess, very impressive. But it was kind of a no-brainer. Like, okay, you're going to use your bow, and you're going to stretch your arms, and you're going to use your sword, and you're going to swing it. No-brainer stuff. All the sports games, the Wii Fit, I mean, it was good, but it was a no-brainer. It should have been like, that's automatic. It's some things that are surprise no one. They never really took it to the next level. They never went, okay, we've got this gyroscope, we're developing a great technology, but why don't we do something more with it? It's so obvious to do sports and music and all this stuff. Why don't we bring it to the next level? They never did that. And I don't think they're going to do it with their next one. They're probably going to release more of the same, and it's a shame because they pioneered this great technology and it did nothing with it. I think PlayStation is copying what they did. They're probably developing a more stable, like a better wand to be using, but they're ultimately not making a big difference. I don't see a whole lot going on. They look like they're doing what the Wii should have been doing. Project Natal is a truly original idea, and they really took it up a notch, and it's not a copycat, it's nothing like that, and they got this whole new line of stuff they're going to go at, and I think that is what really can be successful, but they can't do the bare minimum. The bare minimum is what we're seeing now at E3. People swinging their arms around, knocking off blocks off walls and things like that. Those are no-brainers. I mean, we got to think up a level. What are we going to do to make this transcendent? So, a lot of people are upset with it. That's fine. I could see a lot of people switching to PC soon because I think the next gen market's going to change drastically, and I don't think a whole lot of people are going to like it. So PC will always be basically what the generation is now. That's what PC is going to be for a very long time.
I mean, I'm going to agree with you guys on this, with the Xbox being definitely the better of the next-gen series. Because with Project Natal, I mean, for those of you who aren't computer nerds out there, like most of us in this room, that is something amazing. I mean, you've taught a computer how to understand human emotion, which is unbelievably difficult. I mean, to give you kind of an idea, that's like strapping a minivan to your back and then jumping off a cliff and flapping your arms and hoping you're going to fly.
It's a very aggressive thing to attempt, and I think if it's developed right, it'll be a great system.
I mean, with Natal, it can not remove the controller, but augment the controller so much, and it'll make gameplay so immersing, and you'll literally feel like you're there now. Because let's take a tactical game. So let's take maybe the next Tom Clancy title. Tom Clancy's always been about being able to communicate with a squad, but how do you do that? You open up a menu, you sift through commands, or you press a key and you're sifting through commands. Endgame tried to maybe augment that a bit with using a mic, but it really didn't do it. With Natal, you can be talking to your computer or your TV, and it will understand what you're saying. It will understand your facial expression. Are you concerned? Are you worried? Must this be done now? Is this something that could be put off till later? Sort of thing. It will understand what you're saying and what you look like, and then be able to read and understand how to react to this situation. So if the technology is developed even more, you could have scenarios where you won't even need to say anything to your teammates. They'll automatically know just by reading your facial features. And yeah, it just gives the Xbox so many more possibilities and so much more that it could do. This is what motion control should have been. This is what the little when little Wii is born from Wii Mama and Wii Dada, what it does when it goes to career day? It says, I want to be Natal. All right, that's what it wants to be when it grows up.
When you look at the Wii, actually, this kind of just came to me. It's been out. Like, the technology is nothing new. We've seen things like this where you line up your reticle with the screen, you shoot stuff. Remember Duck Hunt? What are we doing here? what we're really doing is that
Ahead
we're
of its
just
time.
I cut the wire
Yeah.
off and used it as an actual gun.
There you go. But the thing is, Duck Hunt was ahead of its time. Duck Hunt was one of those games that, I mean, there's so, remember like the old NES, the Sega, blah, blah, blah. We had so many peripherals that we were buying. The Magic Hand thing, remember, was this robot hand, I forget what it's called. But
The Power Glove.
Power Glove. Yeah, so the Power Glove is one of those things. I mean, there was technologies out here doing these things long before. The people think the Wii is something new. It's really old hat. And they never really, they developed it to something new, but they never brought it to a new level.
All right. I think all you guys really have some good points, especially when you talk about you know, Microsoft and Lionhead Studios with their Milo project. It seems really ambitious. But I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, talk about some of the other reasons why I think some other people can succeed in the next generation. And I think everyone has a potential for success. Most likely, I'm going to go ahead and say Nintendo is going to lead next generation. I mean, you can't argue with their install base. They've reached a new breed of gamers that nobody thought they would have.
But I think it's because to do with their marketing, less their technology.
Yes, but when you define succeeding in the next generation, if you're trying to go based on sales, they have a group of people that are now loyal to the Nintendo brand.
Yeah, you gotta.
And, you know, once you have that loyalty, you know, when you put out that new system, you just have to reappeal to those people, and then, bam, you got another group. But at the same time, you know, you look at last generation. You know, you had Sony with its PS2 clearly dominating over the GameCube and the original Xbox. I mean, it was just... it was a great console, and you know, you look with the PS3, it's definitely in third place right now out of the three consoles. Continuing with Nintendo, you can see that Sony and Microsoft are now following their lead with Natal and, you know, Sony and their motion control, and they've appealed to a new group of gamers. But you know, Microsoft still has its advantages, and Microsoft still has the opportunity to push forward. It's constantly improving and updating its service. It's definitely the most innovative online, in my opinion. You do have to pay, you know, that monthly fee, which I'll get into later. But and easy to interact with your friends. You got a universal gamer tag, and now they're, you know, trying to appeal to more people. You know, they got Natal coming out, and everyone's been talking about how amazing that can be. Yes, avatars, and now Facebook support. If you think about the number of people who use Facebook, if you get better integration between gaming and Facebook, people are going to go nuts. People are going to want that, and that's once again reaching to a new market. So if they can do that, I think they have a strong chance. But other things I think Microsoft can do to try and succeed the next generation is do what they did this generation. I think one of the major reasons why they're ahead of Sony is because they beat them to the punch. If you beat them to the punch, if Xbox 720 comes out before PS4, it's going to have a significant advantage over it. It had probably its best fall at right around the time that PS3 was still building an install base. So it could have that advantage. Appeal to a new set of gamers, like I mentioned before, and, you know, just keep a step ahead of Sony's online, because online is getting... Sony, I gotta say, they're catching up to Microsoft. They're adding more and more features, and it's making it harder and harder to justify that $50 a year fee for Xbox Live.
Yeah, I think it's a little too little too late for Sony. I do agree. I mean, they talk about this 10-year plan. I believe it, because honestly, that's the only thing they can do, because they don't have rocket sales. I think if they had rocket sales, they would not be mentioning this 10-year plan. I think it was like some kind of thing to justify. But anyway, you look at sales on two consoles. Just let's break this down real quick. Let's say you had a 2-to-1 install base favoring Microsoft. The sales on these two consoles, I mean, Microsoft doesn't have that many more. But if you look at a title like Madden, this may not be the best example ever, but that's a cross-platform game. Look at a title like Madden, the sales are close. It's not like a 2-to-1. It's not the same ratio as the install base from Microsoft to Sony.
It's still noticeable, though.
It's a noticeable difference, but go on Sony's website, start listening to their propaganda BS, start looking at it. They have a valid point. They are catching up, but I think it's too little too late in the next generation. I think Microsoft's going to blow them out of the water, and they're going to fall right down the ladder again.
Yeah, and then I just want to go on to Sony. You know, they're currently, I would say, they're in last place out of the three consoles right now, and thinking about how they can move forward, one is, you know, continue catching up to Xbox Live. I think with a lot of features, they're, you know, slowly catching up. They added in a lot of things that Xbox Live has, so they have the potential to improve. I would also say that this holiday is critical. All right, they just dropped their price point. They have a new PS3 Slim. If they're trying, you know, the sales have already gone up, and it, you know, recently they outsold the 360. If they can keep that up and keep some momentum going into next generation, the Sony brand will not be forgotten. And you know, they've already shown with PS2 that they